So, Fooly Cooley Progressive.
Yes.
Just speaking broadly, what do you think about the fact that they made a Fooly Cooley sequel and did it this way?
At first, I was pretty strongly against it. Without having seen this, of course. Because Fooly Cooley is a pretty complete story.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they told this story after having seen it.
Yeah.
Because you don't really learn until the very end of this series. This takes place basically one generational gap after the first Fooly Cooley. So it's kind of just saying this is an issue that everyone deals with, and this new generation is growing up and dealing with these issues again. Let's tell this story for, a different time period with different characters.
Yeah, and there is definitely value to changing the perspective character, going from a 12-ish year old boy to a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
First, it can open up the series to appeal to a completely different audience in a way that maybe the first one didn't, because the experiences are so much different.
Mm-hmm. Something I appreciated about this show was the main relationship in the show between the main girl
Hidomi
and Ide. That felt to me like just a sweet high school romance. It was just nice to watch it develop and blossom.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first series, it didn't feel like there were any good options for him. There was, I don't remember his name, but there was the other girl that was his age, who was going through, her parents were divorcing. She kind of felt like a good option for him.
Nina Mori.
Yes. She was introduced kind of like halfway through the series, so she never really felt like a practical option for him, story-wise at least.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of hinted at, and maybe they got together at the very end. It's never really clear.
Well, the first series is loaded with very dependent people that need to try and figure out, okay, who in this 3-block radius can I lean on for support through my life?
Yes.
And there's no good option for anybody.
There are no healthy relationship options.
Yeah.
In this show, it's kind of just Hidome and Ide. And it's kind of a nice, healthy relationship for the most part. And that's nice to watch.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. And because of that, it allowed the viewer and the storyteller to focus more on Haruko and Jinyu, this new character.
Yes.
So it kind of allowed them to tell this story as well. Haruko is still after the Pirate King.
Yeah, she's still trying to get at Adamus.
Yes.
And I wonder, because when we talked about the first season, you very accurately pointed out that none of the plot stuff mattered. Mm-hmm. Like, none of this medical mechanica stuff was important whatsoever. And at the end of this show, there's a character that just straight up says, yeah, none of this matters. Yeah. None of it's important. That big bird probably didn't even show up for any particular reason. Don't worry about it. If that's the attitude of the show, that it's really strange how much this show decided to focus on that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, I made sure to rewatch it at least once, because the first time through, I was distracted by trying to figure out what the plot was and what tied back to the original season.
Yeah.
So, if there's one big failing of Progressive, it is the fact that, for example, anytime I think about, all right, what do I know about this new protagonist, Hidome? I know that she's in high school. She is about 15, which means she's older than Naoto was, and then immediately I stopped dead in my mind because I just did it. I can't think about her without automatically comparing her to Naoto. And I think that's very much on purpose, because the entirety of this show feels like it's designed to evoke so much of the past in a kind of wink and nudge, hey, remember that? Huh? You get it? Huh? Kind of way.
I went into the first episode, okay, let's just go into this, and I don't want to compare it to the first season at all. And then it ends with Haruko showing up and being yeah, let's do this. This is gonna be great. Season 2.
Yeah, it ended on that weird moment of, the group texts on Hidome's phone freaking out about Fooly Cooley, and the whole class getting revved up and seeing Haruko and jumping out of their chairs screaming and cheering. It felt like they were encapsulating the internet's build-up to this show.
Yeah.
And as soon as it showed up, that kind of died out, which is kind of also accurate in real life, too.
Yeah.
But it's such a strange, like...
The excitement over Haruko in that classroom never died down, though. It's she had this weird power over that classroom, over everyone kind of that came in contact with her, except for Ide and Hidomi.
Yeah.
There was that scene in episode 2. She pulls out the yearbook.
Yes.
She says the yearbook is here. This is a disturbing scene.
It's very disturbing.
It's really good, though.
Because they're all looking at this yearbook, and they're seeing these photographs of all the things that they did with Miss Haruko over the year. Meanwhile, she's been their teacher for like a week. She's been revealed as to be herself for a day. And whenever Hidomi looked at the pages, they were just crayon drawings. But everyone else could see photographs and remember things that they didn't do.
Yeah. And she said, like, oh, this is the time that we set fire to the school. And then they all start chanting this song. It's like, burn, 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 burn it all down. And, like, Hitomi and Ide just look at each other. It's like, what is happening to our school? So, it's interesting that, like, she seems to have this power. It's displaying that she has this power over lots of people. Maybe it's just because they were going through puberty at that age. I don't know what this is supposed to represent exactly.
Like, Hidomi and Ide also seem to be the only two people in the class that have any kind of inkling of direction, whether they want to or not. Because Ide, like, he's got this job, he's working towards whatever goal he's working on, and he has this girl that he wants to pursue. Mm-hmm. Hidomi, you know, she's desperately trying to not move forward in any direction, but is kind of being pulled in Ide's direction. Yeah. So it's like everybody else is sort of kind of up in the air. So I think it's easier for them to get swept up in Haruko's current.
I also just realized that Ide and Hidomi were the only two that didn't react when Haruko was kind of testing all of the students. Because there was a scene where she was just showing them pornography. And Hidomi didn't react at all, and Haruko commented on it, and Ide said that he was up. He said, no, I already know that you're not going to react to it.
Yeah, because there's that whole opening thing of like, oh man, you got with the teacher or whatever.
Yeah.
And he already has, like, the bandage on his forehead. So, like, I think this is all Haruko trying to see who she can get a rise out of, because that's whose head will be able to open up gates or whatever it is. And she already tested Ide. He didn't do good enough, so who cares? Everybody else is kind of like your bog standard teenager, so who cares? Hidomi is the only person she can't get any reaction out of whatsoever, which, you know, Haruko's big running theme in this is, I want the thing that I can't have. And Hidomi is not giving her anything. Partly because of her headphones,
yes.
Which, I don't know if you noticed, like, when the first time Jinyu shows up and, like, picks up the headphones, she kind of moves her thumb over and you see, like, a double M logo on the side. So it's like,
I didn't notice that.
I guess it's Medica Mechanica headphones, which her dad gave
Her dad gave it to her, yeah. That is mentioned by her mother. Her mother mainly runs this cafe, and they say, like, this is where her father worked when they met, and, like, father eventually abandoned them to go... I think they go work at Medical Mechanica.
I guess.
And this is where they're waiting for him.
Let's talk about the father for a second, because exactly like how Naota had his brother who left, and that left a hole in his life, Hidomi's father left, and both she and her mom are kind of waiting to see if he comes back, pretty much kind of out of denial, basically. Like, her mom is like, I'm going to keep running this cafe, and we're just going to pretend like everything's normal, and then one day maybe he might come back from getting cigarettes, and we'll be a family again. But even she's starting to waver. She's like, maybe we should move on.
Yeah.
Hidomi is, like, her headphones, she's literally shutting the world out because she doesn't want to move on from her dad or the possibility of her dad returning, and she thinks that if she just hits pause on the world and ignores everything, she can keep things exactly as it was before he left. Like, I don't know how much time it's been, but the fact that she's 15 and she always refers to her mom as mommy makes me think it was when she was a little girl.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that she's never actually listening to music through her headphones.
Yeah.
It's just for show. It's just for... I mean, I've done that. I've put headphones on just so I wouldn't have to talk to anybody before.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's also because, like, her dad gave her the headphones, so she doesn't want to part with them.
Yes. And I like how eventually in the season, Ide tries to take them off, and they kind of drill into her ears and completely change her personality. It's like this last bit of hope that she's clutching to about her father is actively hurting her.
Yeah, and it kind of has her regress to, like, this carefree child.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I almost wonder if we're giving too much credit to the decision made with the father, because I feel like we're extrapolating a lot of good stuff out of it that wasn't necessarily in the show. It felt very much like, oh, she has, like, a older, influential male figure missing because Naota did.
I feel like that was the decision.
And, like, I spent so much time, like, every single time a male character appeared on screen or was talked about, I was like, is that Naota?
I thought so too.
Is she Naota's daughter? Maybe she's his brother's daughter. Because both I and my brother and probably you and most of the people listening to this probably saw her mom and thought, is that Mamimi?
Yeah.
And I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so either.
Firstly, because she has a different name. But secondly, because I don't know if you paid close attention to the ending credits of this show, but the original cast is in there. And I don't mean in, like, the weird silhouettes that Haruko drives by.
Oh.
But, like, there's a scene where, like, you know, there's some shooting stars, and you see, like, what is it? It starts with a shot of, like, a camera, and then it cuts back to the person holding the camera, and it's, like, from the back, it's a girl smoking a cigarette, leaning against a motorcycle, looking up at the sky. And then the next shot is, like, a guy holding a guitar looking up.
Oh my god.
And, like, they're there for, like, a split second, but, like, it kind of implies that, like...
And they're adults now. They've grown up?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
it's not very... It's not a clear shot of them, but, like, you can tell, oh, she's kind of grown up and got her shit together.
Okay.
Naota is still very much... You can tell he's older, but he's still in the same position and setting where we left him, so it's like he kind of probably didn't.
Yeah.
But no, as far as I can tell, like, the guy... Masuro, I guess? I don't remember.
The guy with the baseball cap?
Yeah, the guy with the baseball cap who is doing lots of weird shit later. Somebody has a line where they mention, oh, you have eyebrows like your dad, so maybe he's Eyebrows' son or something.
That was my assumption. He's Eyebrows' son.
But yeah, so as far as I can tell, the only, other than Kanti and Haruko, the only returning characters return in the end credits of the show.
Okay. I never really paid close attention to the end credits, so...
Yeah, which is a shame, because they're also ridiculously important.
Yeah. It seems that way.
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about Jinyu yet.
No, we have not.
So
Jinyu is kind of takes the role of Haruko in this season.
Kind of.
Because from the majority of the first season of FLCL, I don't know how to refer to it other than the first season of FLCL.
Yeah, I know.
Because, like, this one's progressive, the next one is, what, Assemblance?
Alternative.
For the majority of FLCL Season 1, I assumed that Haruko had kind of a noble plan for him. She was, like, their live-in maid, and it seemed like she was out to help him out. What was his name?
Naota, yeah.
I thought through most of the series she was there to help him. And it turns out she didn't have the most noble of intentions.
No, not really.
And in this season, she's pretty much just a villain.
Yeah, well, here's why the end credits is so important. Because they do address this right away, but, like, they're throwing so much at you might miss it. Because I did. Jinyu is Haruko.
She said that several times throughout the season.
So here's what happened. So in the end credits, the visuals, like, it shows Haruko found Adamisk. And she tried to capture him, but he was too much for her. It split her in half.
Oh.
Like, the person we identify as Haruko in this season is the half of her that's self-centered and focused, and I want what I want, I'm going to get it no matter what. Jinyu is the part of her that is more pragmatic and realistic and knows, like, yeah, I want this, but I know I can't have it need to stop this.
That's why she's acting quite differently than she did in the first season.
Yeah, like there's straight up a moment in there where it shows like Haruko glowing red and like a blue Jinyu kind of like getting up out of her back kind of thing. So yeah, like that's why like when their conflict kind of reaches a peak in the 4th or 5th episode of this.
When they have that fight scene where they're kind of flying through the air.
Yeah, like Haruko eats her. That's not them getting put back together. That's one side actively suppressing the other.
Okay.
So yeah, they literally are two halves of the same person, which is why they don't get along very well.
Because Jinyu kept saying throughout the season, "I am you."
Yeah.
And I was like, does she... I thought, like, she actually probably means that literally.
Yeah.
But I wish they would explain that. I should have just watched the credits.
Like, I thought... Because if Haruko is this space cop or whatever, who uses a guitar, there's gotta be others like her. So maybe they used to be partners. Maybe she says, "I am you," because, like, they've been through the same shit, or they've, like, both loved the same guy or something.
Yeah. I was like, this show's weird. She's probably her.
Yeah, it was literally, they're one person split in half. But they don't... They never show you in any way except in the end credits.
Can we talk about how awesome it is that Ide was like, "You're gonna leave Hitomi alone," and just starts hitting her with a bat?
Yeah.
No, it's a guitar, actually. He says, "I'm gonna get my bat," and he comes back with a guitar.
Yeah.
I love Ide. That dude's awesome.
What's up with him? Like, alright, maybe you can help me figure this out. Are we supposed to take it literally that his after-school job is being a slave in a, like, Mad Max scrapyard?
And also making and selling guns to warlords, I'm assuming?
And it's right across the street from a very nice neighborhood.
I think that's all kind of, just over-the-top exaggeration for the sake of storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything in the show was meant to be taken too literally.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure a carnival turned into a robot.
So Jinyu is warning Hidomi about Haruko the whole time.
Very vaguely.
Watch out for the girl on the Vespa.
It's like, hey man, you shouldn't go near that Vespa lady. It's bad news. Oh, why? Just don't do it, man.
But it makes a lot more sense because she is, the evil half of her, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it got kind of annoying, though, because, like there's a part where like, Hidomi just starts asking these people flat out, "What do you want?" Like, Jinyu, what is it you want? And then Jinyu responds by going off on this, like, soliloquy about fireworks.
Yes.
And it's like, no, really, what is the thing that you want to do and will do? Like, if you succeed, what does that look like? What are you doing here?
There was, this might... I wrote down a quote from one of the episodes. This might kind of explain why it focused so much on Jinyu and Haruko in this one. This was when Hidomi had kind of transformed herself into more of a monstrous version and was fighting Haruko
on the roller coaster.
Yes. This was in episode 5. She says to her, "You're no different than the rest of them. You're just another girl in love."
Haruko says that, or
Hidomi
said that to Haruko. Yeah.
So she's just another being trapped in this kind of endless cycle. She's just never grown up.
Yeah, she's doing the same thing Hidomi did, except with more explosions.
And I think it's important that they showed that in this version, that maybe this is me giving the show too much credit again, but in FLCL Season 1, there were still a lot of people who love Haruko. And she's a likable character.
Like in-universe or fans?
Fans.
Okay, yeah.
So, maybe they're trying to show she's just this person who just kind of never grew up. She kind of feeds on the attention that she gets when she comes to... She kind of... Like, I described her in the video that she made. She's the attractive stranger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's this mysterious stranger who rides into town and he falls in love with her. And now we're kind of seeing it from the other perspective. She feeds on that attention. She's no different than them, though. I think that's what they were trying to show. That she's not a likable character. She's just someone else in love with somebody that she can't have. And she's constantly chasing that, and if she hurts some people along the way, she's fine with that.
And it makes it interesting that she takes the role of their teacher.
Yes.
Because it's basically like, where are you going to put your trust? Are you going to assume that this person who is in a position of authority knows what's best for you? Or are you going to follow in their mistakes and just get worse yourself?
And it does make sense now that Jinyu would take the role as maid in the house, because that says that there was a part of Haruko that really cared about Naruto and really did want what was best for her, but in the end ended up chasing Adamisk and ended up hurting him along the way.
And I mean, if you look at what she was trying to do, like, she essentially was waiting for him to show up so that she could build a big cage and trap him in it. Like, every time she gets close to him, he flies away. Like, her idea of, I don't even know if you want to call it love, but her
idea of love.
Her win state here is, I have to possess this guy, and the only way I'm going to do that is if I can capture him.
Yeah.
And it ends up not working because you can't build a cage big enough to contain that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, she, when her and Jinyu fight, Jinyu says, I just wanted him to be free. I just wanted him to be free of us. Mm-hmm. And Haruko says, you're mistaken, he already owns everything. Everything in the world belongs to him. Which kind of is, in itself, flawed logic, because if that's true, he'd be with her. And she just doesn't see that, because she has this twisted version of what her love is.
Well, it's like she admires him for the wrong reason, and it's born out of recognizing something that's true, but not contextualizing it properly. Like, she sees Adamisk as being this intensely powerful, free thing that she wants to emulate / be with / be like. It kind of reminds me of My Hero Academia a little bit. Bakugo idolizes All Might because All Might always wins. Thus, he thinks that to be the best hero, you have to always win. Therefore, everything about the way he lives his life is predicated on this idea that I have to be the winner forever. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm a failure.
Yes.
They kind of lose track of the imagery a little bit, though. When Haruko turned red... You're a great person to ask this. Why is Haruko red? Like Emma Stone before her. What does it mean that Haruko is red?
I think that was probably just hinting at the fact that Haruko and Jinyu are just two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, because it's not so much important that she's red. It's important
like Emma Stone and Jonah Hill.
It's not so much important that Haruko is red, so much as it's important that Haruko is red while Jinyu is blue.
Exactly.
The problem is that the final episode of season 1, Naota turns red, which it symbolized the fact that he was kind of embracing Adamisk and taking Adamisk into himself. Yes. Adamisk being this idealized, like, what he believed he had to be like to be with Haruko. But then rejecting that, turning back to normal, turning back to himself to tell her that he loves her. And once he does that, all of the Adamisk stuff is expelled from him and leaves. So when Haruko turns red like Naota did, I'm immediately like, what the fuck is this? What does this mean? And it turns out, like, it's most likely there just to show, like, the difference between her and Jinyu, but it's playing on imagery that had, like, a very, very distinct and specific purpose in the first season that I don't think it really does here.
Yeah, I don't think that was intended. I also think it was probably because Haruko was focusing on rage more than Jinyu's cool-headedness.
Yeah.
So that's the contrast between the red and blue. I also think that was also focused on when Emma Stone was red and and Jonah Hill was blue. You should watch my video on the trailer breakdown of the Netflix show Maniac on my channel, The Coffin Chronicle.
Did you watch that show yet?
I'm about halfway through it.
Is it good?
Very good.
All right. Are you right about things?
So far, it's just been all of the things that were kind of like hinted at strongly in the trailer have been separated because I'm 4 episodes, like hour-long episodes in. So I'm like, there's one, and like, so it's much more subtle. But so far, yes.
Good. Speaking of subtle things, let's talk about horns.
Let's talk about horns.
So, most of these episodes begin with Hidomi's dreams.
Yes, all except
the final one, right?
No, episode 4. And episode 4 and episode 6. Episode 4 is the one where her personality changes.
Oh, okay.
So, in all of her dreams, except for the first one, she has this happy-go-lucky, childlike personality. And in episode 4, that personality has come to the surface. So...
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to say something there?
Well, in episode 1, I thought they were trying to say something, but they didn't kind of go anywhere with it, where she has these dreams where she's wandering this post-apocalyptic wasteland, and her body is decaying. Sometimes she's a zombie. She has a big red horn coming out of her forehead, and, like, her classmates are also zombies, and they're devouring each other, and she wakes up. The first time in real life that the horn emerges is after she sees Ide get badly hurt, which makes her flash back to the dream of, like, zombie dismemberment, which makes the horn come out. Which, like, going back to the first series where the horn in Naota's head is like phallic metaphor and, like, symbolic of, like, how his feelings around Haruko and all and Mamimi and all this stuff. I'm, like, sitting there, I'm like, are they saying this girl gets off on, like, pain and devouring, like, death and all this stuff? And, like,
I think it was more... It wasn't as blatant as it was in the first season, where it was like, he's horny, so let's give him a horn.
Yeah.
This was, she felt concerned and protective of Ide, and she felt she was actually feeling love for him for the first time. And realizing she was coming to terms with her feelings for him. And that's why the horn came out.
Okay, so
that was my guess.
So it would be just because Ide in general.
Yes.
Okay.
Particularly because Ide was hurt. And she realized, and she felt her heart flutter, she realized she actually has feelings for this guy that she's never actually thought about much before. And that's why they had the representation of the horn.
Yeah. I mean, it is... The dream sequences are fantastic.
They're great.
And it's like, it's always got this kind of cheery melody going behind it too, and it's like, and it's this very much like, all right, her whole body is decaying, just like the city around her, but she's got this bright red horn growing out of her head, and it's kind of like, this is what's happening to her because she's trying to not change at all, but there's still this little piece of her up here that isn't going to let her stand still.
Yeah. And I really like how in FLCL Season 1, this was the horns and everything happening around the head was focused on a lot more.
Yeah. Because
they really wanted you to get what was happening. I mean, to their credit, it was still subtle enough that it took me 2 watches to get it.
Yeah.
But this time, it's like, if you're watching this show, you know what's happening. At this point, these are gonna happen when something sexy happens or something emotional happens. And they're going to be teleportation devices for aliens.
Yeah.
You guys know the score.
I do wonder how this show will play for somebody who's never seen the original.
I think it's going to be unwatchable.
Yeah?
I think so.
I mean, the first one, I spent most of my life thinking it was just a big pile of random wackiness.
And in some ways it is.
I mean... Not really.
No, it is, because there is... I mean, we were just talking about that. A lot of the show doesn't matter. It's there to serve the purpose of these people are sexually attracted to each other, and everything else is metaphor.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that. But, like, you can watch the original Fooly Cooly without knowing that anything means anything and still get a ton of fun out of it.
Yeah.
And then if you come at it later and realize, oh, this means this, that means that, you can get another level out of it. Do you think you can watch Progressive as just, man, a bunch of zany stuff happened, that was awesome?
There is a lot of zany stuff in this show.
There is.
There are a lot of really great fight scenes.
Are there?
There's one really great fight scene at least.
There is a fight scene in every single episode of this show, and for the most part, they're awful. The average fight animation in this show is... You know, a character standing completely still, casually swaying their arms back and forth in front of them, and hit sparks being in front of their arms.
I'm trying to find what episode it happened in, but that fight scene we were talking about between Jinyu and Haruko was excellent.
Okay.
That one was really great, and because it was simultaneously happening while what's that character's name in the second from the right in the middle row.
Marco?
Marco, yeah. He also had a horn growing out of his nose.
Out of his nose, yeah.
Out of his head.
The nose is the penis of the face.
It was episode 4 because he was attracted to childlike Hidomi, which probably says something about Marco.
I like to think it was just because he saw her emote for the first time and was like, oh, she can be cool.
Yeah, that is very possible. So there was this weird, like, palm tree-like thing growing out of his head that was also attacking Jinyu and Haruko as they were fighting, and it was knocking over the medical...
the big iron.
The big iron, yeah. So a lot of things were happening. Meanwhile, Ide and Hidomi were on top of the iron. They were falling off of the car. It was a very action-packed scene, and it was done very well.
My favorite bit of action in the show was at the very beginning in Hidomi's first dream, where all of these irons are coming, and she turns into a robot and just starts doing cool anime shit to the irons.
Yeah. Is there a fight scene in every episode?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I only remember that one.
Yeah, no, they're not good.
I remember at one point Hidomi turns into the robot from her dream.
Yeah, that's at the end.
That's at the end,
That's at the end, and also the very beginning. And she at one point turns into like a little kind of Cabbage Patch doll.
What was up with that?
I don't know.
Why did that happen? I thought cool. I mean, like, when I saw that, I thought, Naoto could turn into...
Like when Kanti ate him, that kind of thing.
He could kind of turn into Kanti whenever he really wanted to and, like, summon all these different powers. I thought, this is going to be cool. She can turn into this doll, and it seems really powerful. It's going to be a nice contrast. It happened once and was never explained.
I think what it is, like, the first and last episode show us that, like, her most self-actualized self is represented by that sleek-looking robot.
Yeah.
And when she tried to do it in her, like, regressive state, like, she was very childlike, so it turned her into, like, a child's plaything.
And then it exploded.
Yes, like a child's plaything.
And also, when she turned into the robot, she wasn't wearing her headphones. So eventually, I was gonna say let's try to, like, broadly explain the plot a little bit, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, Haruko wants to get Animus back.
Yeah.
She becomes a teacher in the school because she wants to find a forehead that works real good. Thinks it might be Hidomi. Messes with Hidomi a bunch until Animus shows up for no reason and a Ferris wheel explodes. Mm-hmm. So, okay, let's...
No, that's it.
All right. We've talked about all the important people. Let's talk about the other half.
There was one that we haven't. And she's not up there, and I'm disappointed.
No, she's right there.
Yes!
She
gets her own screen.
I opened a second page.
Because she's the best.
So, there is this group of people. There's basically... Are they related to the Space Police people at all?
I think so, because Eyebrows was a member of the Space Police.
Yeah.
And I think Eyebrows... I don't know his name. Mr. Eyebrows.
I mean, it's written here, and I don't care.
Yeah,
but
Mr. Eyebrows' son, and I was assuming that they would remember that.
So whatever. There is a group of adults that are trying to stop Medical Mechanica, and their plan is to they want to build a giant battle mech to fight this iron, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to be noticed, so what they're doing is they basically took the thing apart and disguised each part as an amusement park ride.
And it's important to remember that this is powered by, like, emotion and love.
Yeah, the NO field or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that can only come out of teenagers' horny brains.
Yes.
They smuggled the pieces of this robot into this amusement park, and then when they're ready, they're like, hey guys, grand opening or whatever, 99% off for couples, come on in. And their plan is to, like, alright, we're gonna form Voltron and then suck the love light out of all of their heads.
There's a great scene, like, one episode opens with just this one couple, like, sitting on a bench in this amusement park. And then this other guy pops out of the bushes and says, like, don't kiss him, I love you. And they have an argument over this. And these are people we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's just a different anime for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. But, like, Eyebrows' son has a daughter.
Yes.
Supposedly.
Yes.
This girl named Aiko, who we're introduced to, like, she is dating Goro, the fat friend of Ide.
Who they fat shame constantly.
Constantly.
Yeah. And, like, she's introduced, they say...
She's, like, super sweet and,
she's
like,
awesome.
timid.
And they gonna say, like, he goes, like, hey, my girlfriend's here. And they go, and they're like, bullshit.
Oh, yeah, I bet she lives in Canada. Okay, buddy.
Yeah. And she's awesome and really nice.
And she's carrying a potted plant, and they're like, what's up with the plant? She's like, oh, it's a...
An emotional support plant.
Yeah, it's an emotional support plant. I'm not good around people, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they have a day at the beach. It's great. He walks her back to the train station, and this might be my favorite scene in the show.
Yeah.
Where she just, like... It's been an act the whole time. She's, like, an aggressively, like, has, like, this, like...
She has a different accent than what she's speaking with.
Like, she's like, so did you enjoy the character I invented for you? Now pay up. Come on. Yeah. And, like, it's basically she's running a date, like, like...
It's she calls it rent-a-date.
Yeah, it's basically, like, she's not doing stuff with you. She's just, like, posing as your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then, she like, the reason she brought the plant along was she hands it to him and says, here... We're gonna pretend that you gave me what's in this envelope in exchange for that plant.
Yeah.
That way, nobody knows what's going on. This is all above board here. It's not creepy and weird at all.
She is, like, thinking, like, in case the cops show up, you bought a plant from me.
This isn't prostitution. Shut up.
She is thinking, like, 10 steps ahead of everything. It's great.
She goes home. She's got... in her closet, a jack-o'-lantern filled with money that she just keeps stuffing money in because she's eventually going to run away. Yeah. Like, her dad comes in, she's like, hey, Aiko, and she just, like, punches the pumpkin really quick and closes the door. But, like, all throughout the series, her dad and this weird eye patch-wearing homeless man are like, how's the plan progressing? All right, it's going good. The robot's going good. But there's a problem. I can't find the potted plant. And I'm watching this, I'm like, what is happening?
And this keeps happening. There was a scene, like, when we're introduced to the amusement park, because that guy I mentioned earlier, Marco, he works there part-time. He tests out new rides.
Yeah.
And then in the background of one shot, Aiko is there, and she hands a guy a carved wooden bear.
Like those things we keep getting in Yakuza.
Yes! She hands him one of those, and he just hands her the money, and he's like, did I just buy this? She goes, yep, and walks away. And then in a later scene, they show Eyebrows Guy again, and he's like, there's another problem, now I can't find the bear.
God.
Also, the robot that you mentioned earlier is Conti.
Yeah. Well, I meant the robot that the amusement park turns into. Okay. But, you know,
you said, like, how's the robot coming? And, like, in the background, like, when they're... Because they said, like, this... They keep referring to it as, like, this old beat-up piece of junk or whatever. And he goes, like, no, this thing has so much power in it. It's Conti! He's sitting there!
He is tied to a cross. Which, what the fuck?
He wasn't... People thought he was an angel.
Yeah, that's true. He was an angel. He was a death god at one point.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look, there's a split second of foreshadowing where Aiko's dad, like, brings up his, like, tablet or whatever, and you see his wallpaper is just a picture of, like, a machine, and on one side, Conti is sitting on it with parts missing, and on the other side, there's some sort of unfinished robot sitting there. Oh. Which is a weird thing to have as your background.
Yeah. Here's my evil schemes. So I'll never forget.
But basically what it is Aiko is a robot who needs to be activated by the potted plant. Which, I love the fact, like, her, like, bow in her hair is exactly the leaves on the potted plant.
Yeah.
And it basically, she walks up to the iron and activates and becomes a whole bunch of roots that, like, wrap up the whole factory or something.
Yeah, it surrounds all of Medical Mechanica.
And it's like, she's not, like, in there. Like, it shows her, like, her legs and stuff becoming the roots. So it's like, oh my god, well, she's dead, but, like... Afterwards, she just kind of, like, hatches out of a pumpkin, so yeah. I guess she's fine.
Yeah. And Goro is there, and he catches her and kind of saves her, and they laugh, and they seem to be together now, which is nice.
Yeah.
Is she human now?
No, yes.
Is she a
No.
Cabbage Patch Kid?
Yes, she's made of cabbage now.
That's what those are, right? They're children that are grown out of cabbages.
No, that is what those are.
Okay, so that happens. Then, before she destroys Medical Mechanica, as I mentioned earlier, Hidomi and Haruka are kind of fighting on top of it. Earlier in the season, I should say, Hidomi freaked out because she saw Haruka on top of Ide in what looked like a sexual position.
Yeah.
But it turned out this was when Ide was attacking her with the guitar.
Yeah, which this was right after she ate Jinyu, so she had a big belly. So it kind of looked like Ide was trying to hit a pregnant woman with a guitar.
Why was she pregnant?
She wasn't.
Just because she ate Jinyu?
I mean, if you eat a person-sized thing, you're gonna have a big fat belly. It's just science.
So
learn science.
So, like, I walk in and it's like, oh no, there's my boyfriend. He just had sex with this woman and now she's pregnant immediately. She's already 9 months pregnant. What the hell?
He was just that good, I guess.
Man. So, she's furious. She, like, screams and she does the head thing.
Yeah.
And Ide disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, so once we get into, like, the final episode of this show, I completely lose track of who is where and why are they there. Like Ide, like, she picks up his shadow from the pool?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was, but, like, I think it was, like, the school uniform he was wearing.
But it floats up into space, and doesn't it turn back into him?
No, then it just kind of pops and disappears.
So where's he?
At the end, she's fighting, like, alongside Kanti.
Yes.
And Haruko and Kanti both cough up different colored shadows, and Ide comes out of it.
So Ide was in Kanti.
Yes.
But I think, didn't he get into Kanti because at one point Kanti became a little robot dog?
He did.
On that space station that was eating stuff out of the garbage can where they put his shadow.
Oh, maybe. I think I might have missed that scene. I was taking notes.
Because, like, I thought, oh, he got sucked into her head and went somewhere else. But
I don't know. It's really unclear.
I know, yeah. No, like, the final episode of the show is all sorts of nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
The important thing
Yeah.
is that Hidomi and Ide get together.
Yes.
Then, Haruko is all full of Jinyu. And, she is... Because this is the dumbest thing in this whole show.
Oh, yeah? Hit me, come on.
There's, like, Kanti standing there and he's kind of glowing red, so it's like... And Haruka goes like, oh my god, it's Adamisk. And then glasses flash on his screen. She goes, no, it's Ide! Because he displayed a pair of glasses on his digital screen.
Which, why the hell, because they left Kanti behind. First of all, how did Kanti get the rest of his body back? Secondly, how did Kanti get there from where they left? Because he held open, like, a hole in space for them to get through, but then he got left behind. Third, when he shows back up, why is he glowing like Adamisk?
Adamisk did it.
Fourthly, why are both Adamisk and Ide inside of Kanti?
Well, because Kanti ate Ide's shadow.
Oh, of course. But also, Adamisk is, like, flying in the sky above Earth as a bird. How is he inside Kanti?
Because he knew that Haruka needed help.
Did he?
So he came down. Well, at the end, we realized that Adamisk is at least aware of her presence. Because I wasn't even sure if that was a thing.
Oh,
it's like, does God know this one person exists? That's kind of the question that I was wondering. So they fight. They're both trying to kiss him on the cheek.
Of the screen?
Yeah, of the cheek of this CRT monitor.
Yeah.
And they both kind of do it at the same time. And then they just start throwing up different colored shadows that spread across the top of this iron. This was weird. And then Ide crawls out of one, and Adamisk climbs out of the other. Adamisk is really cool looking.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like this humanoid-shaped red thing with this symbol on his face. Haruko is just shouting, like, you know, a normal person, like shouting, "Why won't you love me?"
Yeah.
And trying to just punch him and nothing's happening.
She tries to chain him, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
She tries to hit him, doesn't do anything.
And then he just walks up and hugs her, and she is just weeping.
And then he disappears and is replaced by Jinyu, who's like, "Hey."
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. And Hidomi is there with Ide.
And, like, she and her mom are gonna keep the
Yes.
coffee place going.
She wanted to close it, but she said, no, let's make it our own. Let's not do it to wait for Dad.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
And I think Jinyu is still working there, or isn't, like, Kanti working there or something? There was, like, a final gag.
I don't remember.
No, the last thing was they show all of the people, the guys that worked for the space patrol
Yeah.
with Luluco.
Yeah.
They show all them together, and the old woman who was kind of behind the scenes, she goes like, "Ah, you have small eyebrows just like your father." Like, that was the last thing.
It was just a little, like, let's pan over and check in with everybody.
Yeah. So that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, and when Haruko left, she goes, "Haruko out." That was the last thing she said, and I wanted that to be the last line of the show.
Yeah.
So, all in all, what'd you think?
All in all, I think it's a better show once you talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it's, like, I mean, no matter how you slice it, it ended poorly.
Because it ended the same as FLCL ended. Structurally, it's the same show.
It ended the same, but without any of the clarity or meaning that the first one had.
Mm-hmm.
And
There were more players in the first season. There were more players that you really cared about. In this one, it was really just Ide and...
it was really
Hidomi.
like Ide, Hidomi, and Haruko were the only characters that really mattered.
Yeah, I'm not even counting Haruko and Jinyu, because they're like these all-knowing beings that are immortal, you know?
Yeah.
Because even Jinyu got devoured and then she came back. So, like, they're unkillable beings that, like, I'm talking about, like, the human characters. They're, like, ground-level characters.
Yeah, like, I like Aiko, but at the end of the day, she didn't really matter.
Yes, I agree. I liked her personality-wise. I always loved it when she was on camera.
Yeah. Like, I wonder, would it have been better if, instead of this actually being a Fooly Cooly sequel, if you just gave us this cast minus Haruko, or like what if this was a show full of new characters that was clearly an homage to Fooly Cooly?
Yeah, don't call it Medical Mechanica. Don't make it an iron.
Yeah, don't have an iron. Don't have Haruko. Like, you could essentially just put in a brand new character in the Haruko role who behaves the same. You could make Jinyu that character. You could do, like, I don't know, like,
don't call him Haruko, don't call him Jinyu. It also doesn't make sense that Jinyu looks entirely different than Haruko, but Haruko looks the same.
Yeah.
And, like, clarify that. You know? Like, that would be cool if they called this something else.
Like, there's a lot of good to be found in here, but it felt like it was... the fact that it was trying to be a sequel to Fooly Cooly was making it get in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
It forces you to compare it at every turn.
Yeah.
And that makes it seem like, oh, well, this doesn't make sense with the way it was in the first one. That doesn't mean the same thing here as it did there. Where's the old cast? Because, like, I think there was some interview or something leading up to this where they said, no, yeah, the original cast is in there. And they were in the ending, the ending credits of the fucking thing. But
unless they were in there and we just missed them.
I don't know. I'd probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, they want you to think that. They want you to think her mom is Mamimi. Because, like, at some point, she looks at the Medica Mechanica iron and says, that looks just like the other one.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should stop waiting for your dad to come back. It's like, wait, what? Is that fucking what?
Yeah.
All of the stuff that we're doing that makes us have problems with it are things that they actively wanted us to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's so much here that could have been better if it was divorced from that stuff.
I totally agree. You're still going to watch FLCL?
Alternative?
Yes!
I have one episode to go, and then you're going to watch it with me.
Okay. I thought, how many episodes are up?
Well, like, each of these is 6 episodes, and they started... that one, like, right after this one ended.
Oh, okay. Because I watched these on Cartoon Network the other night, and there was only... I mean, CartoonNetwork.com, there was only one up, so I'm going to check that out, because I'm very nervous now. But yeah, So yeah, stay tuned for when we talk about FLCL Alternative in the coming weeks.
Yeah.